Okay, welcome to the In the Gray podcast. Today we have a creative expert and a media buying expert in the same room, which is generally how a lot of performance marketing debates start. So we're going to try and settle that. The three of us, Sammy, Julia, and I actually go way back. We all started our careers in performance marketing at the same company, and we've stayed connected ever since. I could do a quick intro on Julia and Sammy, but I believe they would do a better job themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the floor to just do a quick intro. Tell us about what you've been working on recently and your background. Julia, I'll let you kick it off.
Thank you for having me, and I'm honored to be here on this podcast with you guys. My name is Julia. I'm 28 years old. I'm from Montreal, Quebec, and I've been in the UGC marketing business for over 7 years. For those of you who don't know what UGC marketing is, it's creators using their faces to make videos, and it doesn't have to be influencers. It could be regular actors, just like the commercials you see on TV, but take that and put it through social media. And I know Leanne because I used to work with Leanne at Maxi Media, where I headed out the entire creative division and took care of over 200 creators from all over the world and produced tons of ads, around maybe like 1,000 to 2,000 ads a day. And later on, when our company decided to close its doors, I decided to start my own company called Junii with my partner Nicole, and we are now one of the largest ad distributors in North America for all gambling spaces and iGaming spaces and sports betting spaces. So we do every single vertical as well because we've done it before. We've done it in the past. I mean, we have so much experience. But yeah, now we're doing the same exact thing, but just a bit more quality, a bit better creators that we train hand by hand. And yeah, we just love videos over here. I'm a visual learner. I've always been. So I'm happy to talk more about it today.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sammy, I'll let you now get the floor and just explain a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Sammy. I'm 30 years old. I met Julia and Leanne, like they mentioned, at a company we used to work at. I've been in the marketing industry for over 10 years. I actually started with growing Instagram accounts. I used to just post non-organic stuff. I used to just like repost other people's images and grow Instagram accounts. And that's how I got this marketing job. And I honestly started out as a buyer. I knew nothing about Instagram, Facebook, launching campaigns, nothing. I learned from scratch. We worked there for about 5-6 years, and I went from being just like a simple junior buyer all the way up to managing a whole team of buyers. We worked a lot together on creative, tech, HR. Like honestly, we were wearing every single hat at the company, and we learned so much. Yeah, it's like a quick little recap.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for joining us. I'm really excited about this episode. I think we have a lot of really interesting topics to discuss, and I think it's super relevant right now. I feel like creative and media buying is such a big topic in our space, so I'm really excited to dive right in. I'm going to start off with just digging a little bit more into Julia and Junii on the creative side, and then Sammy, I have some like really interesting questions to share with you in a couple of minutes once we go over the creative side of things. But I really want to start off with UGC content and Junii and everything Julia does, because I feel like it's a bit of a mystery to people, not really as much in performance marketing, but just in general. So I wanted to talk about how, when I did a little bit of research on Junii, I saw that you really focus a lot on ads and not organic content, which I feel like that's a topic in itself that we could go on about for a while. So I wanted you to discuss that a little bit more. So from what I could tell, you don't really do organic content. So what is the cost of that to your business, and why did you decide to do mainly UGC content and not organic?
I'm pretty against organic for a few reasons. One of them being that, posting organically is a guessing game. You cannot succeed overnight with one video or two videos. The way these applications work, and I say this all the time, it's they're like boyfriends. They like constantly need love and affection. And if you don't give it to them, they're not going to give you views back. They're not going to give you likes back. They're not going to give you shares back. But if you continue and post every single day for the next 3-4 months, then you're going to start growing a bit of a fan base. But that takes a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of videos, and just a lot of dedication and consistency. And I'm afraid to say this and I don't want to say this in a mean way, but not a lot of people have that, and I can't give you organic content for it just to all go to waste and not perform. You have to do things a strategic way And if people are not going to do it a strategic way and not listen, then to me, there's no point of even testing the organic side. Whereas ads, there's no mistakes. You take it, you put it up as an ad, the music's already there, the subtitles are already there, and bam, you just post it and then you put some money behind it and there you have it. And it doesn't need to be 15 videos a month. You could do that, to keep it fresh with your ads, but you could start with a nice 5, a nice 8, and then just go from there, and then keep refreshing your ads as you go on. And now what's cool about it is you have like a testing phase where which ads worked for you, so you want to replicate what had worked and keep having more that works. So I prefer doing a testing strategy game than a gambling game, if that makes sense. And I just think that unless I'm the one taking care of your account and growing your account myself, I don't think anyone can help with that situation. So I prefer staying away from that and not upsetting people. And also I don't want a bad review on my business for something I didn't do wrong. You know what I mean? So let's put it.
Sure. So on that topic, I wanted to discuss ugly ads versus super polished ads. I know you have a really strong opinion on that. Can you tell us a little bit what you think on ugly ads versus, something super polished?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm not into the aesthetically pleasing stuff anymore. I mean, but it really depends. There's one ice cream place that's not far from me, and they have these aesthetically pleasing soft serves, and it does really well for them because they're these Pinterest looking videos, which I love, but I don't think that works for everybody. I mean, if your brand is loud and outgoing, then the video needs to be loud and outgoing and messy, and that's why our ads work. It's just because we don't like doing the polished, clean, we need a cameraman type of stuff. If we come in with a phone and we just film, maybe I'll use a ring light here and there, but I just want it to be real, raw, and authentic. Those are my 3 biggest words when making content. And I want it to be exciting, and I want it to be just as if anyone could do it, Whereas in the other case, everyone is, okay, I gotta put this with this, and I gotta contact like this and this, and I gotta make this look nice. And I love that, but you're wasting too much time. You're wasting too much money. And you could have done this within 30 minutes, So I'm not ever going to be that creator. I'm never going to be that orchestrator that wants their content to be aesthetically pleasing or polished. It just doesn't seem to work. And I've tested this out with Sammy multiple times, and it's just never been effective.
This is something I actually noticed, because I've never been someone on the media buying side. And whenever I see the content that we're running, I can't believe it, because it's not polished content. It's ugly ads, as we could call it. And I just wouldn't expect that, but it seems to be what performs best. So I know you had a strong opinion on it. So I just wanted to, get into that a little bit more. On the topic of creators, I know you have, I believe, over 200 creators on your roster at Junii. What separates a creator from an influencer, and how do you know that these creators you're working with are going to be able to convert for your clients?
For sure. Let's talk about the influencer thing first, and then we'll go from there. I don't think any influencer converts unless they post them on their page, but just in that alone, me being an influencer by saying this too is, we're really expensive and we're not that cost effective. I mean, one video can go up to 3 to 4 to 5,000 plus the ad usage and everything, where you could have used that money and made maybe 10 different ads and put some media buying behind it, So I'm very against influencers, and I don't think they convert unless it's a Alex Earl or a Kim Kardashian, a really well-known person. I don't think there's any point of using an influencer in your ad versus a creator. I mean, it comes down to the personality. It just comes down to, can that creator perform on camera and speak a certain way or follow the brand and see what they like. Whereas I am, one of the biggest performers for my brand, Betty. And I know that if Alex Earl took it over, it wouldn't be as great as if I would do it, just because I'm more aligned with their brand versus how she's aligned. And then coming down to creators, we have over 200 creators, and every single one of them is handpicked by us, trained by us, and taught how to do specific things in a very specific way, on how they read their scripts, on how they put their videos together, on how they just talk in general. I mean, you really need to be in order to do this. So if you know how to act, or you're trying to learn, it's definitely doable. I believe anyone can convert. Anyone. I believe my grandfather can convert as long as he's taught the right way. And if I have to go over with it with him multiple times, I will, and I will still teach him exactly how to say a certain thing and how to emphasize and how to draw attention. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. My last question for you before we move over to more media buying focused type of conversations is on the AI topic. So I know AI generated UGC is everywhere right now. It's a huge topic, and I wanted to get your take on it.
I just think, and like, I'm not trying to be mean at all. I just think that if you have no money to spend, then you might as well spend it on AI. You might as well take advantage of the situation. But I don't think it converts the way a real human does at the moment. I mean, it's still really good. And, it could fool some people, but I am the first person to tell right away if something is AI or not, just by the emotion of the person and how, specific wording they don't really fully understand properly. It's not perfected yet. It could be perfected in the next few years. It's still going on, and I've tried every single platform that exists, but there's just nothing that really draws the attention I want in order. And, it's hard to get a person eating the specific food, and it's hard to get the person picking up a box and opening the box and putting on their specific clothes. And now there's a new law that's coming into place where people are going to have to know that their video is powered by AI. They're starting it in New York very soon. So right off the bat, I'm sure if somebody sees a hashtag like that, they're going to want to scroll past it and they're not going to want to pay attention to it just because they know right off the bat it's AI. And also, I feel like there's going to be a lot more restrictive things that are going to happen in the future. I mean, you can't be using Celine Dion's face to eat your poutine in your restaurant. You know what I mean? It's you gotta label that stuff, and obviously you can't just use anyone's face to do anything with it. So that's my take with the AI set.
Yeah, it's been interesting that legislation you were talking about went into effect on the 9th. So like we've had to start labeling that, and our attorneys are pretty on the nose with these things, and they're saying it's going to roll out nationwide pretty soon. Has one that's coming out. California has one that just came out, especially for like legal services, financial services, all of that stuff. It's coming down really hard, and I think it'll all happen before the midterm elections because they're really scared about the political ad, having like deep fakes and all that kind of stuff. So I think you're right there. That
For sure. Not just that, like Meta and TikTok are going to flag this stuff right off the bat. So before you even try to put it through media buying, you're going to get flagged right away. I mean, their compliance already is spot on. As soon as they see something, it's really hard to get away with something, when it comes to putting up things in media buying. So, it's going to get stopped really quickly. And, it's good for business on my end. So I'm not complaining.
I think because we're so early on right now in this world of AI that we could get away with a lot of things. But like you said, like these new legislations are going to come out, compliance on Meta, on Facebook, on TikTok, sorry. I just think that's going to come into play. But right now, like anything's kind of working just because we're so early on. But it's cool for us to watch just because we were in this industry before AI was a thing or before it was so easily available to us, and we'll see what will happen. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen on the creative side because I have seen some UGC AI content that's relatively solid. I could spot things that are a little bit off to me, but I don't have that creative eye, so I'm curious how a consumer would see it. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for your take on that. We are going to circle back to this conversation a little bit later on. I wanted to shift gears a little bit. And Sammy, I have some questions for you more related to media buying and just that whole world. I know that you've led buying teams. So I want to know what's the difference between a mediocre buyer and someone who could really, scale up on those budgets and you could trust to run multiple accounts, different campaigns and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I love this question because anybody could be a buyer. Let's be honest. You can give an ad to anybody and be like, hey, launch this. They can go on YouTube and say, how do I launch an ad? And do that. It all comes down to strategy. Like a media buyer is a media buyer, but a real media buyer, like a good media buyer, is not just somebody who launches an ad. Like there's so much more that goes into that. There's the creative side. You have to be a creative strategist in order to be a media buyer. If you're not a creative strategist, you're not going to be a good media buyer. There's it's like a whole spectrum of how to be a good media buyer. Creative, testing, analytics. You need to be a data analyst in order to be a media buyer. You know what I mean? So it's not just being a good media buyer. They have to have all of these qualities as well in order to be a good media buyer, if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, to follow up with that, when the data is incomplete, like I feel like this is a big problem in media buying is you'll see what you're spending, you'll see your revenue, it might be a bit delayed, but when all your tools are not really working together, like how do you make the call on a campaign if you don't have the complete picture of what's going on? Is it making money? Is it losing money? Is it killing it? Is it, completely tanking it? How do you handle that situation?
So I think the best thing to do is just shut it down. You can always bring things back. A lot of media buying that we did was bringing things back, reusing, recycling. We have creatives from 5 years ago that we're bringing back right now. Why? Because they were winning back then. Maybe they're going to win now. It was performing well yesterday and then something happened. No problem. We'll bring it back next week. You can always, I think it's better to make the call to cut it, shut it off, rather than maybe you're going to lose money and it's just going to die out. I don't know. To me, I think reusing, recycling, bringing back, trying this test next week. It didn't work this week. Let's try it next week. Yeah. Never give up on that creative, that test. Try things like 3, 4, 5 times before actually making a call. Okay, this doesn't work.
Yeah, I also feel like it's a lot of reiterating, right? So you have something that works or that's not working, you can make a slight change and then you'll see a huge change in the performance, which I don't understand, but it works. So we got to keep doing that.
Yeah. And also I feel like nowadays with AI, you can fully put that creative into I don't know, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, and say what do you think didn't work about this? What can I change? That's also part of being a media buyer, looking into what worked, what didn't work, based on your audience, based on who clicked, so many different things that you can look at.
For sure. Is there a campaign? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just got a quick question. When you're with the new era of Andromeda and iterating on past creatives, how far are you iterating now? Because you can't really just change the headline anymore or the background color and consider it a new ad because it gets the same entity ID from the algorithm. So how are you handling that when you're retesting or iterating? If you're pulling a creative from 5 years ago, does it fall into those same kind of categories?
Marco, Sammy is the queen of retesting. You should see what she does. You'd freak out.
I never never ran into issues. There obviously is issues. It's either going to work or it's not. And yes, the platform might recognize the same ID, but who's to say that it's not going to work just as good as it did 3 months ago? You just gotta. I think part of being a media buyer is just test, test everything that you could test.
Yeah.
We used to have like Julia was saying, we were testing 2,000, we were launching 2,000 creatives in one day, but we were also testing just on one vertical. We had I don't know, hundreds of verticals. Just on one vertical, we were maybe testing 10 to 20 campaigns in one day.
Yeah.
And no, the budget was not $100. It was maybe 5, maybe 10, sometimes 20, just testing everything. And maybe there's going to be questions later about budgets and stuff, but that's a better way to.
When you're using micro budgets, how are you determining early what's a winner? Are you using engagement metrics like CTR all and hook rates and things like that, or are you looking for conversions?
For me, conversions, I feel at the when you launch a creative, I feel within the first $5 if it's going to work or not. To me, that's how quick I was cutting things.
Okay. I generally I try to let things run for 3 days, but I give them shoestring budgets $25 a day or something like that. And I'll test 10 creatives at a time. And I find that Facebook is so erratic a lot of times. This Monday could be different than last Monday, right? You never know what the auction's gonna do. So I always try to give it a 3-day window unless it's completely done. I'm getting $8 clicks and a $10 payout offer or something like that.
Yeah, I get that. And I think it really depends on, like you said, your budget. If you have super micro budgets, it would be a little bit different, but it also depends on how much you're paying for your creatives. If your cost is low on creatives, you have that budget to mass produce all of these campaigns and be able to test and use most of your budget towards buying rather than most of your budget towards creative. And like I said, maybe I let it go $5 and then cut it, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to bring it back next week and retry. You know? And this wasn't for every campaign. It depends. Like some days I would wake up and be like, I'm going to be super strict with my campaigns today, you know? Like I'm not messing around. $5. If you're not giving it to me, you're out.
Right. Okay. I always find it interesting to hear other strategies that other media buyers use because everybody has like a little bit of a different take on it.
Yeah, which by the way, just because I did that doesn't mean the people on my team were doing that. Everybody has a different strategy.
For sure. For sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, I may have to try that micro budget.
I wanted to know, was there a campaign that you ran in your career of media buying that really stood out to you, either like for super amazing performance or maybe terrible performance, something you didn't catch early on?
So early on in my career, let's say, we were running for nursing degrees. This was our vertical, like education, nursing. And I went pretty hard in terms of compliance, maybe a little bit too far, saying things that weren't true. And let me just say, my budgets were budgets that I never saw again. It was just like pushing the limits on those budgets. We completely killed those campaigns. They were doing so good. Never got in trouble, but it was nothing like illegal, but pushing limits there, but also pushing limits in terms of creativity. I don't know if you've ever seen ads that are the college reaction ads where it's like the people are getting into college, but somebody just took that B-roll. And it could be somebody who won at a casino. Julia, I feel like maybe you have seen those.
I've done it millions of times, but it could be just they got a free Uber Eats meal,
Yeah, and not to like toot my own horn, but I feel like I created that. When I was launching nursing ads, I was taking B-roll of people getting into college, putting it into my nursing ads. Like for me, it was really just the creativity, and I really saw it in my results. I was pushing the limit on those budgets. Like I said, budgets I've never used again, but I think it really taught me a lesson of creativity. We were talking before about like ugly ads, polished ads. I'm team ugly ad because I used a lot of creativity, but it was also ugly. Like the background was green, the writing was red, like so ugly, but it worked so well.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the B-roll and what the video was saying. It was really the colors and emojis and just everything all together.
It's the psychology behind the ad that, you learn over time being a media buyer, being on the creative side of the colors, the placement, the emojis, the music, and all these things put together that work in these ugly ads where as a consumer, I personally wouldn't go for it. But that's also because I'm not someone necessarily looking at these types of ads. I'm not really, and I don't click on ads. I'm not someone who is active like that. So different audience.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, my last question for you is also on the topic of AI. So I know AI is kind of running a lot of media buying right now. Even if you go on any of these platforms where you're buying ads, there's like Advantage Plus, automatic bidding, and all that kind of stuff. Do you trust it? And like, where do you decide not to trust it anymore? If so, if you don't trust it.
So I don't trust it. I think there's nothing like a human touch, a human perspective of things, a human turning on things, turning off things, only because we have had experience where the technology broke and we had rules turned on our accounts. And we woke up one morning multiple times with Meta to our budgets being astronomical when it was never meant to be that way and losing a lot of money. And it was really because the technology broke. And we've had so many, I'm not just saying Meta, it could be anyone. We've had so many issues like this and fights with platforms because of this. So I think, yes, AI can be beneficial, but when it comes to money and if you have budgets, if you're not doing it properly, or if something happens, it could be detrimental for your company.
Yeah.
I'm curious to buy.
Yeah, I'm curious, Paco, if you have a take on this, because I know you also focus a lot on media buying, and I'm curious if there's any sort of debate that we could have here on the AI media buying topic.
So, I mean, we use it like everybody else in our workflows, but we don't use it as much for like automations as far as like turning on and off campaigns. We do use media scale, which is just kind of like if then logic, like if our campaigns are losing too much or the ROI drops below this, turn it off, right? We had some hard stops. Guys can't lose more than $250 a day on any one campaign. Big stops like that. Where I see the bigger advantage is like automated feedback loops, actually analyzing your creatives to figure out what's going on within them. That I trust, but I don't, it's hard for me. I've been doing this for so long. Like, I don't really trust Meta on anything. Like, I want to manually control everything. And when they made this big shift to like the Advantage Plus and all that kind of stuff, and that removing targeting, like letting go of actually targeting my own ads was probably the hardest thing I ever had to do. And like trust that, Meta and Zuckerberg have my best intentions in mind, which I doubt that they do. But it's been okay. I still don't modify my placements now. Like, I'm not pulling out, audience network or anything like that. I'm finding lower CPMs when I don't. But I don't know exactly how well it works or if I trust it, but I am profitable and I'm hitting my marks. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
that's good. And there's pros and cons, and I also think it could be good for some things and not good for others.
Yeah, I don't think AI is as good as most people think it is. I do a lot of work in Claude Code and things like that, and there are always errors, constant errors. Every time you push back, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that, and if it's doing it there, it's doing it everywhere. I think you just have to be really particular and double check their work and make sure to use your own critical thinking. Don't let it just think for you completely.
Yeah. Okay. Shifting gears again. I want to bring this conversation together. So we kind of focused on creative to start and then media buying. Now I have some, questions I think will be a little bit of a debate that bring it all together. So this is open to the floor, open to you guys. Is creative the new targeting true? Or is this a line that people are just relying on right now because of the algorithm being all over the place?
Do you mind repeating the first sentence?
Yeah. So is creative is the new targeting, this saying that everyone's using right now? Is this true or is it just a line that we're relying on because we can't figure out the algorithm?
Is creative the new targeting true?
Yeah. Is creative the new targeting is the line.
So, yeah, I think so. I 100% think so.
Yeah.
I think it's able to infer who your audience is, especially by like the hooks and the concept of the ad, because we're running 100% broad on campaigns like they're niche, like MVA, like somebody's been in a car accident, and where our conversion rates not dropped at all. They've actually gotten better running broad and just calling people out and making it really definitive of what our ad is for and who it's targeted to. And the more we do that, the better our ads seem to perform.
What's the question? Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Is creative the new targeting? So, like, just to take a step back, in the past, you would go on Meta, on TikTok, and you would, go ahead and choose all your targeting. Now, people are saying the creative is the targeting, leave it broad and use that, rely on that creative. Do you agree with this or not?
It could be, especially like within the first 3 seconds of a creative. Let's say the creator shouts out exactly who they want to target. That's who's going to listen. So it could be, for sure.
Okay.
I
So
guess I would say yes. I mean, yeah, I do think there's so many things you can do to target, right? So I would say 100%, yeah, for sure.
Okay. So we're all on the same side of this. Amazing. I wasn't sure if a lot of these questions, we could lean both ways. So I'll just go ahead with the next one. So if you have a blank check, you're running a performance marketing company, are you going to, go ahead and hire a brilliant creative team or a brilliant media buying team, and why?
I would say media buying all the way. Only because, in my opinion, media buyers hold so many hats. Whereas creators, their main focus is just like, get this creative out.
For me, it's media buying team. Same thing as Sammy. They know how to
Interesting.
create creatives. And if not, they'll go find someone and send them the script. I mean, they're the jack of all trades. Creators know nothing about media buying.
Yeah.
I still don't know anything about media buying. I have to ask Sammy for questions. So yeah, for me, it would be having a whole media buying team for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paco, what's your take?
Yeah, I would go with media buying as well. I think media buyers really are becoming creative strategists anyway. So, like, if you have the analytical and you can make the ads, then you're golden. And if you don't have the time to make the ads, you know enough to tell somebody else out there.
Yeah. When an ad dies, whose fault is it? I feel like a lot of teams will look at, they'll say creative fatigue, they'll say the creative, they'll say the media buyer. In your opinion, when a good creative dies, why? Why is that happening?
Sammy, why don't you go first?
Oh, okay. I was waiting for you to answer. When a good creative dies, you're saying?
Yeah.
Because I was going to say the creative is at fault most of the time. Because I think if you have a good creative, it will explode. You don't even need to buy. Sometimes it just takes off on its own. That's why I really think it's creative focus. Sometimes you have, a bad media buyer and you have a good creative and they just completely kill the campaign or they make a call too early sometimes. But I would say creative because if you have a good creative, it starts out good and it's stable. It lasts throughout. Crazy budgets, testing, everything. Julia?
Well, I don't want to disagree with Sammy, but no. I get annoyed because sometimes, the video can be 10 on 10 and then I hear nothing back from it, which really upsets me. And unless it's Sammy telling me that the video is not performing because of the video, then I'll believe her. But I feel like if anyone else tells me that, I'll feel a certain way. I really have to trust my media buyer in order for me to agree with them, if that makes sense.
I guess for me, if the ad is already winning, generally I would say it's fatigue. Right? Or there's a bad comment that we didn't see that's killing the campaign. So we use a automated comment responder and it hides bad comments and stuff like that, which has really helped our performance. But as far as just looking at a creative, I've never been the best at that. I'm a media buyer that's made his career on data and understanding trends more than being a good creative person. So generally when I run an ad, if I'm testing 10 things, the ad I think that's gonna win is the worst ad in the campaign. Always. And the one that I think is oh, this is whatever, absolutely crushes it. So I tend to trust my creator and put it up and then I just look at the data. And I don't have any emotion towards ads anymore. I don't care if I think it looks good. It means nothing to me if the data says something else. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, totally fair. My last question for you in this segment is if you were training, this is more of an opinion based. I think everyone might have a little bit of a different answer. If you were training a junior today, what is one thing you would drill into their minds?
I think Paco just said it perfectly. You cannot have any emotion towards any campaign, creative. You could feel work so hard on a creative and it just doesn't work and you have to move on. You cannot focus on it because it will, first of all, take up too much of your time and just bring you back. You gotta just keep moving forward, keep testing, it's just a constant move forward mentality.
I want to second that, to be honest. This goes for being organic as well. I mean, you can't take everything so literal. You just got to keep doing it and you just got to keep moving forward. There are times where I get really emotional about the work that I did for a project, and that doesn't get me anywhere. So I would second what Sammy just said.
My mentor when I was starting out, he was one of those OG super affiliates from back in the day, and he would always tell me, early in my career, I would get attached and emotional, and I would keep running a creative that was failing because I liked it. And he's like, dude, it's like being in a casino. You're chasing it. You've already lost, so why put more money into it? Go on to the next table, find a new dealer, or don't play today and come back tomorrow and try something. And that always really stuck with me because for the first year, I took a lot of losses and didn't know if this was going to work. And the moment I stopped doing that and just started testing and letting the data speak is when I became successful.
Paco, you're just speaking facts. It's incredible.
I love that. Okay, thank you guys so much. I want to end off on a little bit of a fun segment here where we're going to do rapid fire hot takes. I don't want to hear why. I'm going to ask you some questions. I want to hear your answer rapid, and then we're going to move on to the next one. No explanation needed. So I think I know the answer to this one. We kind of beat this one up a little bit, but ugly ads or polished ads? There you go. TikTok or Meta for cold traffic?
I'm going to say right now TikTok because I feel like things are changing.
Yeah, I'm going to say Meta as well.
Okay. Hooks are overrated. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Disagree.
Everyone should disagree right now. That's a crazy one.
Yeah. Disagree.
Hooks are definitely one.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. AI-generated UGC, is this a gift or a threat?
It's like a gift. I don't think it's a threat.
Yeah, gift. I would never see this as a threat.
The last one. Which platform would you bet on over the next 2 years to see like the best performance in our industry?
Which platform?
I want to say TikTok because I see only like I have my Canadian peeps on LinkedIn and I see that they're growing and changing up the team, and I feel like maybe in Canada, just because that's where I am. I feel. Oh wait, we couldn't explain ourselves. Sorry.
Thanks. Okay, Julia, Paco, what do you think?
I'm gonna stick with Meta.
Meta, really?
Yeah, but I've run a lot of. I know I'm not supposed to explain, but most of my creatives are for campaigns with an older demographic. I know TikTok's going older, but it's still not the 55, 60-year-old plus demographic there.
That's the thing. Like when you mentioned cold traffic, is it older people or younger people? Because if it's older, Meta all the way because they don't use TikTok.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
depends
that's so
on
fair.
what age category you're talking about.
I was kind of just going broad, but you definitely have a point because I don't see as many older people on TikTok where we know they're on Meta. They've been there for a while.
Yeah.
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 They're not legal.
Okay, that is my rapid fire hot takes. Sorry, a bit of a tongue twister. My last question to everyone, is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I'll share
Go for
one.
it.
Don't, on the creative side, don't think too much. Don't put so much effort. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Test and try and move things around and try different people and try different hooks and try different trends. And, don't just think that, oh, this one video is going to be perfect. It's not going to get you far. A lot of my clients think like this, and I have to break the news to them that it's really not the case. So always try to test and keep testing until you get some answers,
I don't agree with that. And I would say, just to add to it, write your test down, document everything so you can go back to it and understand why things are working.
Hold on. Before we leave, Sammy, I think you need to say one more thing that Paco spoke about before, being like, if you change the background, like it's going to be the same thing and it might just test exactly the same. Why don't you say a few things on what you changed around in a creative for it to perform?
Yeah, there's so many things that you could change. It depends if it's a static or video. Let's just go UGC right now. We have spent hours and hours and hours in meetings discussing what to change in videos, and that could be the first 3 seconds of the video, it could be the middle, it could be the end. Mostly it was the first 3 seconds. Our generation, maybe not our generation, but many generations to come, their attention span is very minimal. You have 3 seconds to catch them or else you're losing them. So if you are going to change something, change the first 3 seconds of your video. Change your hook. Change your tone. There was a lot of creators that we worked with who, we would test out different creators, obviously, and they would be whispering, like as if their parents are in the next room and they don't want them to hear. It doesn't work. You need to be yelling. You need to be passionate. You need to be loud. And we would test different people who were loud, like things like that. So tone, volume, first 3 seconds, hook, speed up the first 3 seconds and then slow it down, something like that. So speed. And not just visuals, also like the behind of the video.
Okay.
Okay, great advice.
I have one question for you, Julia. When you do UGC creatives, when you're requesting that creative, do you ask for multiple hooks in the request? Do you ask?
Yes, I do. I ask for multiple, but I also charge my client per hook. So every hook that we implement, we change. But like, I'll give you an example. One of my clients, they want one video to be rest of Canada, one video to be for Toronto, and one video to be for Alberta. So I'll do 3 different hooks and I'll put them all together through editing and I'll charge them for each hook. But, what we can do too is just write out the script and the creator just says it once and then bam, you have your 3 hooks right there. You just have to edit it. That's really all it is, But Sammy was such a great retester. Changing stuff around, changing the hooks, changing the subtitles, changing the view, putting them in a green screen. Like there's so many different aspects that she did that really just changed that one video you had, changed it completely around, and you're just like, oh my God, this is a brand new video. Like, this is crazy. You know what I mean?
We used to have, if somebody would do a green screen and that video would be a winner, we would take that person, like Julia said, and just completely change the background. I think we had, like, at the same time, 50 of the same ads, all different backgrounds, and I would say like 60 to 70% of them were winning.
And not just that, like we ask the creator like to send us their raw file, because if that was a winner, we're going to take that raw file and we're going to replicate it like 50 different ways, you know? And there is endless possibilities of what you can do with this video. I mean, I myself had a video that performed extremely well for digital marketing degrees. And I swear, I think we used that video for over 2 years of just changing it around every single time. You know, there's endless possibilities.
Also, the viewers start to recognize the creator. It's almost like the creator becomes an influencer because they're in so many ads, and people start to recognize, like people started to recognize Julia. Eventually we had to stop using her because people were like messaging her on her social media platforms. So
That's funny.
yeah.
That's smart, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna use them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Reuse and recycle. That's me and Sammy's model.
I swear, always.
We have our media buyer and creator coming up tomorrow, and I will definitely be talking to the guys about this.
Love that. It's exciting.
Okay, well, I want to just wrap things up and say thank you guys so much for joining our podcast. I think we spoke about a lot of really interesting topics that can help a lot of our listeners just think outside the box and help their media buying, help their creative side of things. I think this was an incredible conversation, and I'm so grateful you guys were able to join us today. I'm really looking forward to more conversations with all of you. And thank you so much for listening to the In the Gray podcast.
Thank you so much, Leanne, for having us. We had such a blast.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.